This is CBC Here and Now.
A rash of thefts in downtown St. John's that's targeting furs. One brazen break-in has a business owner on edge.
More than 150 athletes from Newfoundland and Labrador are on a chartered plane on their way to PEI for the 2023 Canada Winter Games.
Pretty excited. It's a big deal, once in a lifetime opportunity, so it's great.
Feel great, very nervous, but it's gonna be a fun experience.
I'm feeling really excited. I'm pumped to play.
I'm Jeremy and I chatted to a lot of the athletes here at the airport. That story coming up.
When I'm gone, who's going to teach the children?
One of the most respected elders in this province tells her story at the Innu inquiry. Elizabeth Panashue says she's trying to hang on to their language and culture as governments remove their kids from the community. That's a little later in the show. Well, good evening and welcome to Here and Now. Police are investigating a rash of smash and grabs that happened at 3 downtown businesses in St. John's yesterday that targeted fur products. Always in Vogue was broken into around 4 o'clock yesterday morning. Then at around 7 a.m. in broad daylight, an axe was used to break into the Natural Boutique. About $25,000 worth of sealskin coats and purses were stolen. A third business, Anderson's Butcher Shop, also had its windows smashed overnight, and an heirloom bearskin rug was stolen. The RNC says they believe the break-and-enters are connected. They're canvassing the area for more CCTV footage. Meanwhile, the owner of the Natural Boutique says she's concerned about the mounting issue of thefts in the area.
For me, I go to, well, the items are gone now. I'm just hoping that the public, if they do buy items off Marketplace or at pawn shops, that they request that receipts get shown that the items were actually purchased. Because if we can dry up the market for these items, then hopefully people will be less likely to steal them. It's at a crisis situation when it's like the purge and people can just come in and they know they can do what they want with little repercussion. So it's scary, and I'm afraid someone's going to get seriously hurt. I mean, it hurts the pocketbook, but it's traumatic too. You can't take mental health lightly, but there's a chance that it's going to become physical too, and that terrifies me.
Well, the Newfoundland and Labrador English School District says it still hopes to have busing services for all students next week. Some routes serviced by Gladney's were suspended because of safety concerns. The school board says today there were 2,500 students without busing, but that was down from 4,000 earlier in the week. The board says it will be working through the weekend to figure out plans with other companies to meet its goal of having service for all students resume by Monday. We have more details tonight on that massive and freshly painted oil production ship in Conception Bay. Suncor Energy is voicing optimism about the overhaul that was carried out on the Terra Nova FPSO. Here now, Terry Roberts reports.
Here's a fresh look at the Terra Nova as it was guided into Conception Bay this week by its smaller escort, looking shipshape following a comprehensive overhaul of the vessel and its complex processing equipment during a year-long stay in Spain. Despite schedule setbacks and cost escalations, the majority owner says a new chapter in the vessel's role in the offshore is about to be written.
It's a fairly extensive overhaul. It's exciting, and as you said, when you see that bright red paint and what it looks like coming back, I think that gives the average person looking at that vessel a real true appreciation of how we've been able to kind of really refresh and now extend its life.
There's still some work to be done, and the Terra Nova has to be inspected by regulators to ensure it's safe to once again operate and produce oil in the challenging North Atlantic. But Suncor expects the FPSO will begin producing oil from beneath the Grand Banks sometime between April and June. If so, it will be the first time since 2019. It's a notable bounce back for a project that was nearly abandoned a few years ago during the height of the pandemic. Here's the rusting Terra Nova as it sailed into the Spanish shipyard. It was only saved following a dramatic restructuring of the ownership group and $200 million in government subsidies, plus an agreement by the province to forfeit roughly $300 million in future royalties.
We are certainly deeply appreciative of all of the support from the provincial and the federal governments. This was absolutely crucial to making sure that we were able to secure a viable path forward for Terra Nova. It generated and maintained over 1,000+ local long-term jobs that support the community and support this project going forward.
Hundreds of local Terra Nova workers traveled to Spain to help with the refit, which will allow for another decade of production. Suncor says their efforts are a testament to the talent and skill that's present in the Newfoundland and Labrador energy sector. Terry Roberts, CBC News, St. John's.
Another start to the day with some sunshine across a good chunk of the province, but we do have some snow moving in. If we look at this area of low pressure over the maritime provinces, we're seeing a mess. Lots of freezing rain associated with this, and also some ice pellets and then rain as well. We do have some snow in the forecast already working its way across parts of western Newfoundland through the interior as well. Likely not showing up on radar, but it is happening, and we do have those warnings in place. Right now, freezing rain warnings for the Burin Peninsula as well as the Avalon. And then we also have snowfall warnings. Those extend from Gander, Bonavista North through to the northwest Avalon, and then southern Avalon. You are currently under a rainfall warning. So it is going to be a messy situation as we head through the next couple of days, next day or so. But right now, pretty nice out there. Dry pavement at the moment. 1 degree in St. John's. Those winds very light as well. This one will not bring a lot of wind, but it will bring some messy weather. Right now, we're going to see, as we head through the next couple of hours, snow through central, and then we get into that icy mix. We'll talk all about that coming up.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, people who heat their homes with furnace oil are getting a price break tonight. In an unscheduled price adjustment, the Public Utilities Board has dropped the cost. The price went down significantly at midnight by 16.4 cents a litre. The Public Utilities Board says the change is because of an increase in inventory on the markets. Furnace oil now costs between $1.29 and $1.34 a litre on the Avalon Peninsula. Well, a St. John's author who was also known for her activism has died. Helen Porter was a founding member of the Provincial Writers Guild and one of the founders of the Status of Women Council. Much of her writing focused on growing up on the south side of St. John's. Her book in the late 80s, titled January, February, June, or July, dealt with the then taboo topic of abortion. She was appointed to the Order of Canada in 2016. Porter died yesterday at the age of 92. Well, before St. John's can host the 2025 Canada Summer Games, the winter version has to take place. And today, the first group of athletes representing this province boarded a plane for Prince Edward Island. Over the next 2 weeks, about 240 young athletes from Newfoundland and Labrador will compete in the Winter Games. Earlier this afternoon, Here Now's Jeremy Eaton did his best to talk with as many of the athletes as possible at the airport.
We are getting ready to board our charter flight to PEI, and so all the athletes are here gathered, and we will be boarding hopefully soon.
Pretty excited. It's a big deal, once in a lifetime opportunity, so it's great.
Feel great, very nervous, but it's gonna be a fun experience.
I'm feeling really excited. I'm pumped to play and meet new people and everything, and I'm very grateful for this opportunity.
Nerves are kicking in now, but once we get over and get settled away, everything will be good. Good, little nervous, but ready to go.
So for the first week, we've got about 160 of us going. Total contingent of 240 that'll participate over both weeks.
For the first Canada Games 4 years ago, I was really nervous just because it was my first big competition. But now I'm pretty used to it. I had Worlds in November, so this isn't quite as big of a meet for me anymore. I'm a little nervous that they want me to be flag bearer, but it's just it's a big expectation. But again, I think I'm ready.
Well, last time I was the trampoline team manager. So this time I'm just a parent, which is a little bit of a downgrade, but I am looking forward to getting there and cheering them on as a parent this time. It's a huge honor to have him as a flag bearer. It's also a huge pressure because the whole province is looking at him and, expecting him to do good things. I hope that expectation comes true and he does well.
Half of these athletes have been through 3 seasons of COVID training. So they've dealt with a lot over the last few years, training by themselves, training without their teammates, not traveling for competition. So this has been a long time coming for these guys, but I know they're all excited and I know they're really anxious to get there and to compete.
I'm really excited. I'm really grateful to be here and I'm just ready to go.
I'm anxious to get there now. I'm really excited and I just can't wait for it to happen.
Oh, it's amazing. I can't wait. It's definitely an amazing opportunity.
Feeling a bit nervous, but it's going to be a great time. And happy to make some new friends up there.
Can't wait. Can't wait to play some new teams and get a good experience from it.
I'm a little bit less nervous because I've been there before and I know what to expect, and I just know that's like a lot of fun. There's not a whole lot of pressure on you. Like, you just want to go out there and have a really good time with your teammates and your team and just like see everyone and meet a bunch of cool people. So it's a lot of fun.
I'm very, very excited. Oddly enough, I'm mostly looking forward to the pin trading. That was my highlight of the last games. It was awesome.
I understand that your grandfather passed away not too long ago?
He did.
When was that?
Last year.
Yeah. And how proud do you think he would have been to know that you were going to Canada Games to play a sport that he loved as well?
Very proud. All he talked about for years was me going to Canada Games.
Well, we're not looking to jinx anybody, but we're very hopeful. We have lots of people that have done really well on a national stage, lots of athletes that have been placing really highly there. So we're definitely really excited to see them compete in PEI and hopefully bring home some hardware like their teammates in 2022 did.
Well, Jeremy really did speak with a lot of people. Well, the CBC's very own Alex Kennedy is also one of the athletes headed to the games. I'll chat with him about wheelchair basketball coming up in about 30 minutes on Here and Now. Well, Gander is taking a snow break this week to appreciate all that winter season has to offer. And what better way to enjoy time in the snow than making angels and having fun with friends? Kids braved the snowy and frigid weather to go for a skate on the community rink this afternoon. It was all part of Snow Break 2023, organized by the Crossroads Family Resource Center. And it's one of many events taking place this week for the Winter Carnival. The ice time this afternoon was also used to hone in on some hockey skills.
Hockey, and I won Grand Falls. The beats the our team, and I got a high score too. I like about taking the puck from somebody. I like playing outside in the snow and making snow angels. I like shooting pucks, scoring goals.
Well, there were some great goals and saves too as Gander faced off against Placentia during the under-18 Matt Sargent Minor Hockey Invitational. Also part of Snow Break 2023 events, the host Flyers continue to honor Matt Sargent in this and other tournaments. He was a popular and skilled hockey player who died in 2017 in a drowning accident at the age of 14. And at the Fraser Road United Church Hall, seniors came out in droves for the afternoon tea. Volunteers and Gander Town Council members were on hand to serve beverages and food and entertainment, kept their toes tapping. Events for Snow Break continue all weekend long.
Well, you're really going to like the forecast through parts of Central then for all that snow. It's on its way. We've got some snowfall warnings in place and a mess for the Avalon. I'll get into all the details coming up.
I knew that I was going to have hard, tough calls. I knew that there was going to be trauma, and I knew that there was going to be things that I did not want to witness. But I did not think that one of my biggest opponents was going to be my employer.
That story coming up Monday on Here and Now.
This weather forecast has been brought to you by Newfoundland and Labrador Tourism. Whatever you're up for this winter, discover experience packages at winterupnl.ca.
Oh, more messy weather on the way, and even now it's pretty hard for pedestrians on the streets in St. John's and just getting around in general.
Yeah, it's not nice.
No. And here's what it looked like earlier today on Duckworth Street in downtown St. John's, where there are still piles of snow spilling out into the roadway.
Yeah, it's like that a lot of areas. There are narrow spots reducing traffic down to one lane, and that can make for a messier situation for sure heading into the weather this weekend, because we've got rain, ice pellets, freezing rain, and more snow on the way. So get ready for that. Today, though, temperatures were sitting above zero, about 3 degrees in St. John's, which is helping with some of that melting, as you can see by those wet roads. But up across Labrador, Cartwright hovering around the 0 degree mark, otherwise into the -20s as you head towards Lab City at -21 this afternoon. Now, taking a look at what happened in Gander, your temperatures were actually earlier this morning were above zero, and then they've been steadily dropping through the day, and it's going to continue to drop as we head through the overnight tonight. So temperatures out there right now in St. John's about 1 degree. And as you head towards the west coast, Corner Brook at -8, and then up across Labrador into the -20s, especially up across northern Labrador, where Makovic is currently sitting at -20, and that wind chill is feeling more like -35. So we do have some cold temperatures on the way as we head through the night tonight. But the big story is this system moving through the Maritime province at the moment, and we're starting to see some of that snow across the west coast and through central. If I zoom in a little bit, you can certainly see that there. And starting to show up a little bit on the radar for eastern Newfoundland. This will continue to intensify as we head through the next couple of hours. But overnight tonight, temperatures are expected to continue to drop down to the minus double digits through central west coast and northern peninsula as well, even colder at about -19 up across Labrador. An extreme cold warning in for Lab West as your temperature dips tonight to -35, and those wind chills colder than that as well. So if we take a look at the future tracker, there is still some uncertainty in this forecast. Now, it does look like we'll see snow for sure through central and back towards the southwest as we head through the next couple of hours. The heaviest snow should fall in that band, but then we start to get into the freezing precipitation, so some ice pellets or freezing rain in that band of pink. So you know, I kept the temperatures on here as well. As those temperatures drop, we could be seeing that freezing rain through a good chunk of the evening hours and overnight hours across the Avalon and the Burin Peninsula, hence that freezing rain warning. And south of that, along southern Avalon, should be hovering around 1 or 2 degrees, and that means that we will likely see rain with this situation as well. So here's the best chance of seeing the freezing rain. Again, some of this, depending on the temperature, may fall as rain, but we could see some pockets of 10 to 15 or even higher, that 15 to 20 millimeters of freezing rain, and then the potential for some ice pellets in the mix as well. Exactly when we see that changeover across the Avalon is the question at this point. So through the overnight is when we'll be seeing that mixing precipitation. Most of, say, west of the Clarenville area should be seeing snow right through the night, which will be heavy at times. Then we get into the potential for some ice pellets tomorrow morning across the Avalon. And then eventually into the mid-morning or afternoon is when we should see that change over to snow. But again, exactly when that happens is the big question at this point. It does look like, though, by the time we get into late afternoon, early evening, most of that should clear out, but the central and western portions of the island tomorrow looking nice as far as that sunshine is concerned, and that will take us through pretty much right into Sunday morning. So as far as snowfall amounts go, we're looking at somewhere between 20 to 30 centimeters falling for a good chunk of eastern Newfoundland to basically the northwest Avalon, and then it drops off dramatically, and that's again because we'll see some ice pellets in the mix. Metro area, probably 10 to 15 centimeters by the time this is all said and done through the day tomorrow. Now, temperatures tomorrow will be chilly pretty much across central and the west coast, as you see your temperatures between -7 and -10, and then they'll cool down again for the Avalon with your temperatures into the minus single digits. Again, you're not looking at a whole lot of wind associated with this one, but up across Labrador, a nice day, minus teens and some sunshine. Long range forecast coming up next.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, now to Labrador. The Innu Child Welfare Inquiry in Sheshatshiu is expected to be an important first step towards self-determination for the Innu Nation. This week, the inquiry heard from Elder Elizabeth Panashaway, who expressed grief over the damage done to the land through colonization and shared difficult memories of seeing children removed from their homes. She spoke first in English and then through an interpreter. Here's a small part of that testimony.
I came here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I sat down there, I listened to people, and then I was thinking, I really want to cry. When I sat down, I asked one woman, can you find for me writing paper and a pen? And she brought writing paper. And then I draw something. I know I'm not very good. I draw. I don't know how to draw animals. This is a trees. This is a lake. Berries, a medicine, Innu medicine. Before the government break our land, we had everything. Water was clean, trees, rivers, animals, berries, medicine. Innu people always go hunting. And then I was saying, why the government to come here to break our land? When I'm gone, who's going to teach the children? And where am I going to get what I need? You take away everything. Government take away everything.
Nojmit was our happy place and our well-being. So were the young people, the children. Young boys would learn from their father and their grandfather. And the girls would learn from their mother and their grandmother. I remember this because I was there. When the child is taken, immediately the child wanted to go back home, go back to its family, asking for his or her mother. I found it very hard of what I have witnessed, a child taken away from its family.
Well, that was Innu Elder Elizabeth Panashaway speaking yesterday at the inquiry into the treatment, experiences, and outcomes of Innu in the child protection system. The inquiry website has some important phone numbers for anyone in Natwashish, Sheshatshiu, or elsewhere looking for healing and crisis help. You can find that at the website there on your screen, INNIUNA.ca. And a reminder that anyone in the province can call 811 anytime for mental health support.
Well, as you can see, that ship's on fire, and I'm going to try to rescue it. I'm in paradise. Virtual Marine's a company that has just signed a major deal with Nigeria. I'm going to tell you about that deal and show you this incredible technology. We've been bringing you special coverage because it's Black History Month, and of course the past is very important, but there are problems in the present that need to be discussed.
The system was built by you, for you, to preserve you.
You got the blinders on and you're doing your thing and you don't think you're causing harm.
Coming up, a difficult discussion about race.
Hi everybody, it's Jane 80. I'm host of Land and Sea. We have a brand new show coming up for you this weekend, and it's a show all about icebergs. Now, one of the places that we came for an interview for this show is here at Seacorp, where they actually study the cold ocean and icebergs. And one of the people we met is Pradeep Bobby. Now, Pradeep, tell us what you do at Seacorp.
I lead the Earth observation team here at Seacorp, and so we use satellite data from a whole bunch of different satellites to understand what's happening here on the Earth. And one of the things that we do study a fair bit of is icebergs. And we do a fair bit of that work here actually in Newfoundland and Labrador as well.
So you monitor them as they're coming down the coast. You're doing this primarily, I know many of your clients are working in the offshore oil industry. They're looking for, prevention of collisions with their operations at sea. But in the show, you tell us about a really interesting experience that you had on a very large iceberg many years ago. Just tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. For the past several years, there have been a number of large ice islands and ice island fragments that have been happening in Newfoundland and Labrador waters. And so back in 2011, there was a large piece that calved off and was coming down the coast, and the industry was interested in understanding a little bit more about it. And so we actually took a field trip. We took a helicopter to the coast of Labrador and then flew out into the ocean looking for this ice island so that we can land on it and take more measurements. Measurements about how fast it was melting on the surface, measurements of how thick it was using seismic and ground penetrating radar data, and just other surface observations of that. And we placed a whole bunch of beacons so we could continue to monitor it and track it even after we left. And so we did that field study for about 3 days.
Yeah, pretty unforgettable experience for you.
Amazing. Definitely the best professional experience I've ever had in my life, and probably not one I'll ever have again, unfortunately. Yeah.
All right, well, we'll learn a lot more about Pradeep's experience on that ice island, and we'll also hear from many other people who are having interesting experiences with icebergs. So that show is called Iceberg Impressions. Watch for it on Sunday at 11:30 and Monday at 7. We'll see you then.
Well, we've marked the anniversary of 2 sea tragedies this week, the Ocean Ranger disaster 41 years ago, and last year's sinking of a Spanish fishing boat off the coast of St. John's. Well, in Paradise, a local company has created a virtual world dedicated to improving offshore safety, and they've just landed a major contract. On the Go host Anthony Germain has more.
I'm inside a warehouse at Virtual Marine's company here in Paradise, and you're going to see some very interesting technology that this company makes, and also a major deal that the company signed with Nigeria. Tell me about the deal.
Well, it's been a great project for us. Charkin Center in Port Harcourt has purchased basically one of everything we have. The free fall lifeboat that you see here, this simulator, we've got a twin fall with hooks, a fast rescue boat simulator, as well as a desktop. So it's going to be quite a comprehensive deal.
And this one, I've actually been inside this, as you're seeing, and you mentioned 70 people. They're all very important, but this is really impressive in terms of its size and scope. Can you just tell me what this does? Because this sort of simulates a drop, right?
Absolutely. So this is our free fall simulator. So you would see these perhaps on the back of a cargo ship or an oil rig. It's basically a gravity system where the lifeboat is released from a hook and it shoots into the water. It'll submerge and it'll come up and travel away from the rig. So this is where we actually train the free fall coxswains.
What's the value that your customer in Nigeria sees? Because they bought one of each, right? They bought one of these and 2 of the other impressive pieces of machinery that you make. What's in it for them? What do they see that they like?
So they've been in the lifeboat business for a long time, and they're a very polished act. They've got significant market share in Nigeria. They're servicing the offshore oil and gas industry. The decision for them was really a digital disruption move. They view the importance of the technology. They're trying to move away from real equipment where accidents can happen and do happen. The free fall training is very difficult to do because if your only alternative is to use a real free fall lifeboat, of course,
dangerous.
Extremely dangerous. So our technology, and I guess as a pioneer in lifeboat development, we've been able to bring to the market a solution that represents not only an economical one, but a safer one for them moving forward.
As you know, this week the province marked the horrible occasion of the loss of the Ocean Ranger. One of the simulators here actually has a direct connection to the Ocean Ranger. Can you tell me about that?
Sure. So our twin fall lifeboat simulator was really our first development project. After the Royal Commission report on the sinking of the Ocean Ranger, there were deficiencies identified for both life-saving equipment on board and lack of training. So the first project for Virtual Marine, working with the National Research Council and Memorial University's engineering department, was to develop hydrodynamic models and a simulator around that. We delivered our first simulator in 2009 on the Hibernia project. It's still operating today. Since then, we've kind of moved forward. We have in excess of 115 systems in the field and still growing.
Last question for you. We started off by talking about this deal that you've struck with Nigeria. How significant is that deal to Virtual Marine? What opportunity does it present for the future of Virtual Marine?
So the project itself represents about 8 months of production time for our software engineering teams, technologists, even our curriculum development side on the training. So we look at this as the start of a long relationship with Sir Charles Wami, who's the CEO of Charkin. They have a huge training center. It'd be about the size of the Marine Institute. They have 120 people employed. They have 3 hotels on site.
And Nigeria has a lot of the big players in offshore oil, right?
100%. So we share a lot of common customers with Charkin. So the Exxons, Chevron, Shells. These are all organizations that have already adopted the use of lifeboat simulation technology. So for them, it was a natural progression, but there's a bigger play. And beyond Charkin, I think that what's really important for Nigeria is that they will have a new capability to train, and a lot of the training that's leaving the country for the UK and other places now, because they don't have these facilities, that will be retained. And as a part of that, they will actually develop a new workforce capability on training.
Well, congratulations on signing such a major deal, since Nigeria wants one of each. And hopefully we'll talk again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anthony.
So what do you do when you have half of a basketball team? You look to another province who just happen to have half of a basketball team.
Well, Team NL is getting ready for tomorrow's start to the Canada Winter Games. Up next, we'll tell you how the wheelchair basketball athletes from here are joining forces with Nova Scotia for the competition.
A change maker is someone who is able to put the needs of others before theirs.
Dedicates themselves to making a better tomorrow for everyone.
They can work together towards the common good.
I am a Black change maker.
I am a Black change maker.
I'm a Black change maker.
Meet the Black Changemakers at cbc.ca/Black Changemakers.
Well, the Canada Winter Games kick off this Saturday on Prince Edward Island. 3,600 participants are going, including one local late addition. Our own Alex Kennedy, who's a journalist here at CBC, will be competing in the wheelchair basketball competition, and he joins us here in the studio. So, Alex, I mentioned that this is a last-minute thing for you. Can you explain how this all came about?
Yeah, so I guess just to start, I competed at the wheelchair basketball competition in 2019 in Red Deer, Alberta. We had a full team in 2019. Once we started to prepare for 2023, we realized that our players were getting older, and we kind of aged out because it's an under 23 competition. I'm 23 myself, so I'm kind of right on the edge. But we decided that we needed to look elsewhere for players. We had half of a basketball team. So what do you do when you have half of a basketball team? You look to another province who just happen to have half of a basketball team. So we have 5 Newfoundlanders and Labradorians from the St. John's area, and we have 6 players from Nova Scotia. 2 provinces going under the Newfoundland flag, so it's exciting.
Can you tell us a bit about how wheelchair basketball works?
Yeah, so wheelchair basketball is it's always one of the more fascinating events at the Canada Games because it's something that people don't see every day. So basically the way that it works is most of the rules are the same. You're still as stand-up basketball, I'll call it for lack of a better term. You're still shooting on a 10-foot net. Most basketball rules apply, the fouls, the dribbling, all that stuff. The only difference is that you have a $4,000 wheelchair as your lower half. So there's obviously a lot of different things in there. In terms of putting a roster together, basically every player on the court is measured based on their level of disability. So the lowest you can go is a 1.0, and that's someone who is completely limited in their movement. And the highest you can go would be a 4.5. And for example, you, Carolyn, would be a 4.5, someone who is an able-bodied individual. I fall in the top half at 3.0. Basically, I have full control of my core and my extremities, but my mild cerebral palsy in my hamstrings affects my legs and my hips, so I'm limited in my side-to-side movement. So with those numbers in mind, they become a scoring system on the court when you're putting together a lineup. The general rule for the Canada Games and for most tournaments is that lineups can't exceed 15 points. So you're kind of forced to mingle and shift things around to get different people in different lineups together, which is making the game inclusive, which is the whole point of wheelchair basketball.
Such an unusual situation to have Newfoundland players and Nova Scotia players come together. Do you have any concerns about the future of wheelchair basketball? If there aren't enough players in this province to form its own team, and the same situation in Nova Scotia, do you have any worries about where the sport is going?
That's a good question. I think right now, I think that we have a strong core. We have a young group, relatively. We have a lot of people who are 17, 18, 19. Our youngest is 15, so he has a couple games left in him. But I think that we have a really great core to build around. I'm going to shout out the people from the NLBA, Gary Power, Raylene Baggs, Rebecca Green. They are really quintessential in growing the game here and keeping the game growing here, because we could have fizzled out after 2019, but we had a really great core of athletes and coaches and family members and all that stuff. So I think that it is tougher to bring new athletes in because it's a sport that isn't seen every day. But I think that if we are able to get those people in chairs and get more people in chairs and continue with the core that we have, I think there's a really bright future here. And it's just something that people can do together. I mean, it's a sport that brings in all abilities and all genders and mixed teams. So it's something that people can do together. We have siblings on our team who have never been able to play sports with one of their siblings because they have a disability, but this brings them together. I'm playing with my own brother.
Really?
this tournament. My youngest brother, Jack, we're joining the team. He's one of the 4.5s who came in. So it's really cool in that sense, is that you're able to bring people together on a sport like this and in a team together.
Well, Alex Kennedy, thank you so much for telling us about it. Good luck. We'll all be rooting for you.
Thanks, Carolyn.
Well, the report came out today on the federal government's use of the Emergencies Act and the convoy protests last winter. And the commissioner said the government met the threshold to invoke the measure.
I determined that the measures taken by the federal government were, for the most part, appropriate and effective and contributed to bringing a return to order without loss of life or serious injury to people or property. I also found, however, that in a number of respects, these measures were deficient. These included important aspects of the Emergency Economic Measures Order, such as the absence of any discretion related to the freezing of accounts or assets, and the failure to provide a clear way for individuals to have their assets unfrozen once they were no longer engaged in illegal conduct.
The commissioner also said the Liberal government could have avoided invoking the act if circumstances had been different. He pointed to what he called a series of policing failures, and he said different levels of government should have collaborated more. He was critical of the Ontario government for its reluctance to become fully engaged in ending the protest in Ottawa. He also said Prime Minister Justin Trudeau likely inflamed the situation by referring to some protesters as a fringe minority. But he concluded that the invocation of the act was a drastic move, not a dictatorial one. Well, the Prime Minister reacted to the report on his government's use of the Emergencies Act.
Let's be clear. We didn't want to have to invoke the Emergencies Act. It's a measure of last resort. But the risk to personal safety, the risk to livelihoods, and equally the risk of people losing faith in the rule of law that upholds our society and our freedoms, those risks were real. Responsible leadership required us to restore peace and order.
Well, let's find out who's celebrating. Happy 52nd anniversary to Irene and Eugene Goodland of Bonavista. Congratulations to Norman and Erla Butt of Swift Current on their 67th anniversary. Anniversary greetings going out to Albert and Marie Burton of Springdale. They're celebrating 70 years of marriage. And here are two of my own relatives who are celebrating. Happy 50th anniversary to Uncle Dan and Aunt Karen Organ in Campbellton. Wishing Eugene and Bessie Lush from Torbay a happy 56th anniversary today. Happy 67th anniversary to Wilbur and Betty Moss of Gander. Congratulations to Howard and Christine Cooper of Winterton. They've been married 53 years. Best wishes to Onias and Violet Ralph of Grand Falls, Windsor. They're marking 70 years of marriage. Happy 50th anniversary to Kevin and Florence Drake from Buren. And it's a 55th anniversary for Ford and Emma Rumbold from Mary's Harbor. Congratulations. Happy 55th anniversary also to Lori and Norma Joy of Stephenville Crossing. Best wishes to Will and Flo Hiscock, who are celebrating their 58th anniversary. Happy 56th anniversary to Bruce and Joan Snook from Fortune. Anniversary greetings going out to George and Gloria Noseworthy of Leading Tickles. It's their 60th anniversary. Happy 58th anniversary to Jess and Cecilia Pomeroy from Grand Falls, Windsor. Now to some birthdays. Happy 90th birthday to Robert Whitten in Goulds. Happy birthday to Sam Skinner in Witless Bay, who turns 92 tomorrow. Birthday greetings going out to Florence Anderson of Mount Pearl, who's celebrating her 93rd birthday today. Former CBC employee Valda Morrissey of St. John celebrated her 90th birthday on Valentine's Day. Happy birthday. And happy birthday to Jane Smith, who's turning 96. Hope you have a wonderful day. Birthday greetings going out to Jean Tilley in Springdale, who's celebrating her 94th. Happy birthday to Ella Stewart, who turns 90 today. And this birthday greeting is from your grandson and CBC Crosstalk host, Adam Walsh. Happy 90th birthday to Winnie Cooper of Queens Cove. Frank Gorman celebrated his 96th birthday yesterday. He's from Mall Bay and now lives in St. John's. Happy 93rd birthday to Beth Woodford of Harbor, Maine. 90th birthday greetings to Annie Avery of Deep Bite, now living in Bonavista. Happy 95th birthday to Jean Walters of Boat Harbor West. Wishing Gerald Parsons of St. John's a happy 90th birthday. And happy birthday to Mary Linehan of CBS, who turns 94 today. Another fine crowd. Congratulations once again. So, gonna look at the long range. Some good news in the forecast, though. We just have to get through tonight and tomorrow, and then things clear off.
Yes. Sunday's actually looking absolutely beautiful for any cleanup that we have to do from Saturday, that's for sure. Let's take a look at the forecast. We're sitting under some cooler air up across northern Labrador, about -21, but lots of sunshine across the Big Land, and your rest of the Big Land will see those temperatures in somewhere between -12 and -16 through the day. And then as far as the island is concerned, we will see some onshore flurries develop along the west coast. That will continue through a good chunk of the afternoon, which will be lovely for the winter festival in Corner Brook. Temperatures sitting around -5 as your afternoon high, but otherwise we should see some sunshine through most of the island, maybe a few flurries along the south coast, including the Avalon, but overall a pretty nice day. Temperatures will be sitting around -3 for St. John's through the day on Sunday. Now, as we get into Monday, a different story. Another system on the way. It'll start okay for the most part. We will see some snow, though, work its way across Labrador. It'll start as snow across the island into the evening hours, but again, we should see some sun to start through the day. And then this will quickly change over to rain again along southern areas of the island as we head through the overnight. Now, temperatures will climb up above zero, between 3 and 4 degrees for those of you on the west coast and along the south coast, otherwise hovering somewhere between 0 and about 2 degrees through the day. Labrador, another warm up on the way for you as well with this system. 1 degree for Happy Valley, Goose Bay, and along the strait you'll be hovering around the 0 degree mark. Now, the long range forecast is warming up. So as that system moves in on Monday, we get back into that southerly flow and very mild conditions. So back up to about 5 degrees for Tuesday. Windy conditions with this one as well, but it does look like we'll see some periods of rain, so it should cut into the snow for sure through the day on Tuesday. But by Wednesday, we'll drop back down below 0. Overnight lows dipping there as well. And we'll see the chance of some flurries in the mix as the day goes on for Wednesday. Now for central Newfoundland, windy conditions, the story for Monday as well. Looking at snow, then changing to rain, and then rain, the story for Tuesday. Look at that, 2 to 7 degrees to start off next week, and then back down to 0 as we head into Wednesday with that potential for some flurries, also some peaks of sun. And then for western Newfoundland, a similar forecast, not quite as warm on Tuesday, but still in pretty close to the mid-single digits. And then by Wednesday evening, you're looking at your temperatures down to about -6. So for eastern Labrador, flurries and then some light snow on Tuesday. But take a look at your temperatures. Big roller coaster, down to -20 on Tuesday night, and then up to -10, and then cooling back down, or warming back up, I should say, by Wednesday evening. So it's going to be a messy one for sure. And then for western Labrador, a big temperature swing for you as well. By the time we get into Wednesday night, starting to dip into those -30, so back into that cold weather. I wanted to share this photo. Isn't this a lovely one? Caribou just resting. Toby shared this photo from the West Coast in Stephenville. Thank you so much for that photo. If you have any that you'd like to share with us, send them to Facebook, Twitter, or email to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Oh, I love that. They're just lounging in the snow and the sunshine.
It's like what we're all doing right now, just soaking it up.
I did that for a little bit this afternoon. Actually just went out and soaked it in.
Yeah, you have to.
All right, well, that's it for us. Enjoy your weekend. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good night.